Hello to you, my very best friend. I am super excited about this video today because I have finally gotten my hands on a fragrance from the house of Aaron Terrence Hughes. I first started getting into niche fragrances shortly after ATH did their big restock last year, and of course by the time I had developed an interest in buying any of his fragrances, they had long since sold out. And when I heard that they were doing a North American restock, not one over in the UK where I would have to spend at bare minimum £350 to get a package shipped to me in Canada, I was super stoked, and you'd best believe that I sat on Max Aroma that day, just smashing the F5 button, waiting for the restock to go up. So what I wanted to get was the Discovery box set that I know ATH has. I think it's every single one of their fragrances in 2ml bottles. I was really looking forward to that, but unfortunately it didn't come back in stock. So instead I went with what I thought would be the safest blind buy, and that is Supernova. Now I have become, I guess you could say, an admirer of Aaron's for two reasons. Firstly, I think his platform has sort of become one of consumer advocacy. I think that the way he speaks, the way that he does his reviews and what he says in them really expresses to the layperson like me what is or is not quality in a fragrance. Even though he's clearly never trying to expose companies or their fragrances, he very clearly explains whether an expensive fragrance has the quality to match its price or if it doesn't, which I think is especially important in this industry because things can be made for very cheap and sold for a lot of money. So I really respect him for giving us the information that we need to make our own choices. And number two, I really respect his business acumen. I'm not one of those finance bros who is like,
oh, Elon, he has so much money and so that must mean he's so smart and good at business.
No, I just think that in this current age where everyone is their own brand, he has used his position really wisely. I think he is a great face for his brand. His videos are very open and honest, and frankly, he talks a pretty good game about himself. So, does my first Aaron Terrence Hughes fragrance live up to the hype? Yes, it does, but we'll get to that in a bit. Firstly, of course, we gotta go over the presentation. So Aaron is very big about being environmentally friendly. So the case that this comes in, I guess you can't really call it a box because it's not box shaped. It is made out of recyclable materials. His logo is very nicely stamped on top, and on the bottom, of course, it has all the label stuff you could ever want, and the top of the case pops off to show the bottle nestled snugly inside. Onto the bottle itself, it might be kind of difficult to get across on camera just how much of a tank this thing is. Like, this is a solid piece of very thick glass. I honestly have every confidence that I could probably drop this from a pretty good height and it would be fine. I'm not gonna do that, but I could. The bottle comes with a wonderful magnetic cap, and that has his logo etched in on top with some fantastic rhinestones. I love that touch. And for this batch, they went with an all-black label. One thing that I think is kind of silly that I'm going to bring up is that on my bottle, the label is ever so slightly just a little bit misaligned. And honestly, I kind of like that. In the fragrance world, there are so many bottles that just seem like they were cracked out on a factory assembly line somewhere. They don't really have any character or quality to them at all. To me, this shows that there was a human being somewhere who put this on by hand. It's not just factory garbage, it was a labor of love for someone. So anyways, that's all fine and dandy, but what does it smell like? The opening of Supernova is, I think, the most beautiful combination of citruses that I have ever smelled. And those citrus notes transform really interestingly. They start off smelling a little bit like lemon, and then that lemon turns into bergamot, and that bergamot turns into orange, and then eventually that orange sort of settles somewhere around pineapple. It's this gorgeous combination of really airy, juicy, sweet citrus. Aaron talks a lot about how he uses only the highest quality ingredients, and that is extremely apparent in the opening of Supernova. And I wish that we could get a fragrance that defies the laws of physics and chemistry and is just this opening as it is for 8 hours straight, but being that citruses are always the most volatile molecules and so on, unfortunately it doesn't last forever, so it dries down into a mix of ambroxan, oak moss, and ambergris. Now in my last video about the Verdus Discovery set I said that I didn't really care for a fragrance named Chaos because it had a very strong ambergris note in it. The ambergris note in Supernova is similar, but not nearly as offensive. And I feel very similarly about oak moss as well. I've smelled oak moss in other fragrances and it's never really been a note that I care for, but something about the way that it's all blended together just works. I find this base is aquatic and fresh and good lord, is it powerful. This is seriously the loudest fragrance I have ever smelled. And I don't want that to be confused with strongest necessarily. When I think of strong fragrances, I think of something that is intense and in your face and screechy. It's something that reaches out and grabs you by the nose and it shakes you all around. Supernova is none of those things. It is bright and airy and radiant. I don't know what amber oxide Aaron uses, but it is incredible. It really pushes off the skin, it fills up the room, it leaves an incredible sillage behind it, but I don't find it to be overwhelming. Again, it's loud, but it's not so loud that you are going to choke somebody out with it. Actually, on the day that I got this, I went over to my mom's place for dinner, and when I got there, you know, I was taking my shoes off, hanging up my jacket and all that stuff, and my mom said that within a few minutes she could smell me from down the hall in her office. So yeah, this stuff is powerful. It's powerful, it smells great, it lasts forever. Even though I'm not the hugest fan of the ambergris note in this, I still think that this is a pretty much perfect fragrance. If you are one of those people who poo-poo the idea of differing qualities in fragrance, I think getting your nose on something like this will change your mind. I think that this is brilliant. I think that it has exceeded the expectations that I had for it. I am really, really happy to own this, and unfortunately for my wallet, that means that I'm gonna have to get more. So let me know what you think of ATH fragrances. Let me know if you've got any that you want to sell to me. Leave a like and comment and subscribe and all that crap, and I'll see you later. Goodbye.